Welcome to the Unsidelined Life, the podcast that challenges and encourages women to stop denying themselves a full life and to step boldly into the opportunities God is preparing for you. Join me for raw insights and engaging conversations to guide your journey of self-discovery and pursue the life that God created for you. Welcome to the Unsidelined Life. This is Eileen Noyes, your host. This is the last episode of 2025. Wow. So reflecting back real quick, I don't want to go too much into this year, but I will say this, that I am so thankful to look at where God took this podcast for this season. So we're not even close to done. So this year of episodes goes well into probably till June or so. But I will say, looking back at this year, starting in 2025 in January, to see that God started a journey with me of healing and freedom, and then continuing that, and then basically showing me, Eileen, it's time to clean house. And I talk about this a lot. It sounds like such a simple thing, but it goes so deep when you take that concept and you implement it into your spirit, into your soul, into your body. And so that's what I've been doing. And so this season was a shift to basically the same principles. I call this show the Unsidelined Life, having an athletic parallel or analogy, because that was the world that I had come from. I was an NFL wife. And so this feeling of being sidelined took so many different avenues, or it was showing up in so many different ways. So of course, in the world where that spouse is front and center, there's definitely a place of uncertainty, of identity loss as the wife of that person. So in so many ways, that's what was happening. You're putting your life on hold, you're putting your dreams on hold, because there's so many instabilities and there's so many moving parts, so many variables in that world, whether it's getting cut, and one is their schedule. So two, the woman she's everything. She's like a single wife at that moment, where, you want your husband to take care of business out there. You don't want him to be bogged down or stressed, because it is a high stress, high level, environment. And so the wife takes it on to be all the things. It could be, her laying down her job, the careers, all the dreams, to take care of the kids, to be the one who holds down the fort when he's traveling, or when he's hurt, or when he is traded. And so she has to stay a while and hold down the fort when he's moving. There's so many different things. And so in a lot of ways, she becomes sidelined, and she becomes sidelined because also there's like I said, the identity loss. There's a lot of resentment that can sometimes come with it, because you just lose yourself in the mix in so many ways. That's why I was wanting to start this podcast, The Unsidelined Life, meaning she's no longer sidelined. And so that first season was about her, but really it carries over to any family devoted woman who desires to be who God calls her to be, who desires to be the good wife, who desires to be the good mom, and who also has dreams and who has things outside of that she wrestles with. Should I be thinking outside of that? Should I feel guilty because I have other dreams and aspirations outside of taking care of my husband and outside of taking care of the kids? And so this season, I took a different approach of really helping women to know their identity, to know and understand that whatever season she's in life, whether baby season or like me, my kids are a little bit older. Some are older, some are still young, but they're all in school. So it gives me opportunity to do different things. Some of you can be empty nesters. Some of you may be single moms. And so in all these different areas, there's a calling on our life that the devil is trying to destroy. And so my heart, my passion, my desire is to raise up these women to know, you know what? Don't be sidelined. Don't be distracted. Don't be discouraged. Don't be deterred by the plans and the purposes that God has for you. And so in doing that, watch all these episodes this season. But as I close out this year of 2025, I was hit with a couple different things. So, I took a pause on Proverbs 31. And so last week and in the holidays, I talk about just different ways where we can avoid the freak out, how to cope with the different stress, how to cope with just the different things that go on during this Christmas season. But as we come into this new year, these are the things that I want you to think about. Let me start it with yesterday. A couple things. We'll see how this goes. Yesterday, I came across in my Facebook feed or Instagram or whatever, there was this godly man who I know. He was a preacher and unfortunately passed away the last couple of months. His name is Voddie Baucham, a strong man of God who is all about family. We've met him. I met him, just a man of God. And my ex actually knew him. And so anyways, I see this coming into my feed, and it's him describing a godly man, and it's encouraging women, if you aren't married, if this man doesn't look like this, don't marry him. And so he was describing all these things. And to be quite honest, I am married to Michael, who has 7 of his own, and both of us have different ones. Both of us have different, issues, baggage, things that we are in process of working through. And so when I was hearing this, I felt discouraged. I felt like, well, that doesn't look like that in my life. Man, did I make a mistake? And it was describing this ideal husband. And no doubt, I pray for my boys to be this kind of spouse. I pray for my husband to be this way. I pray for my daughter's husband to be this godly man who loves God first and who does all these things. And so as I was thinking about that, I felt the devil like trying to discourage me and thinking, your life doesn't look like that. See, the person that you married, he's not like that. And I felt myself second guessing, and I felt like me going, God, I know you heard me when it came, or I know I heard you. I prayed for this marriage. And mind you, I forget this. I forget that every couple has struggles, whether you're married for decades or married for a couple of years. Everybody has tough times, rough seasons. And I forget that. And I know that there's a way that the devil will just make me easily, second guess. And I know that's also because of my woundings, because of what happened in the past. It's almost like I describe it like the fruit, when Eve ate the fruit, it was like this world was open. The first time around when I got married, no matter what we went through, there was this thing of, no, we're sticking it out. Marriage is for life, all these things. Well, circumstantially, because my ex went a different route and it wasn't biblical anymore, we divorced. He's still following this teaching that is, I do believe it's not biblical. There's polygamy involved. There's women not created in the image of God. All these things that aren't of the Bible, of God, that unfortunately we did get a divorce. And so when I talk about this fruit, I'm talking about the fact that I was single for a time. And so the hardness or the wound that can come to me when I come into problems with my spouse now is, you can do this by yourself. You don't need a man. And that is me having to, and thank God I have, that was me having to deal with my wounds, the hardness that came from the wounds of the first marriage, that I have to continue to give to God and say, God, like, help me with these thoughts, help me with this mindset, this attitude. So sometimes I forget, right, that things happen and marriage is hard, period. And so when I hear something like this thing comes through my feed, and I'm thinking, I failed. But then, like, I failed in the second one that, oh, he doesn't look like this perfect man. And I thought about it, and God said, wait, Eileen, he caused me to take a step back. And this is what happened. I did those things the first time around. I did really seek out God, and I sought out a man after God's heart, and I sought out this ideal. And I'd have to say that for a time, that was my ex, that we were a model of how it's supposed to look. And he would do all these things. He taught the kids. It was very biblical, all these things. And I had that, and not by my choosing. And this is how the devil works. He will very much try to go through the man. Things happen. And so that very thing that he was describing, that Voddie Baucham was describing, I'm thinking, God was like, do you remember what happened, Eileen? You did do that. And so don't forget, and not that you shouldn't seek that, but God was reminding me, Eileen, you don't know what life holds. You don't know what anything can happen in life. And he reminded me more than anything, Eileen, you're still following me. Don't fall for the lie that you're not hearing me, or that you're less than, or that your marriage now is less than. God was reminding me, Eileen, I'm not cookie cutter. I can do anything, and I can work through any situation. And so it was encouraging for me to go, okay, no, my life doesn't look like that. No, me and my husband now, he doesn't look like this ideal man of God. And it just reminded me of, one, God is good. He's not done. We're all in process. And two, he gave me the reminder of who I am as the wife of my husband now. I'm the one to stand in the gap for him. I have a role. I can make impact as a wife, as a mom, that God has entrusted this husband and all his 7 kids and grandkids to me. And so it was a different mindset. It was a shift of it's supposed to look like this and it doesn't look like this. So darn it, I'm probably not going to be used by God, to God saying, hold on here. It always looks different in the Bible. There's no ideal. God has used so many different situations and so many different people and so many different circumstances where he still comes through to say, I do work all things out for the good of those who love me and who are called according to my purpose. And I am bigger than any circumstance. And so in that, I wanted to encourage you. And it reminded me of this when he was describing this ideal man, right? And I was getting discouraged, thinking, well, my life doesn't look like that. My husband doesn't look like that. It reminded me of the same thing of Proverbs 31, which I am all about, which really this whole season is about, is Proverbs 31. And I just talked about it last week. I talked about how I stayed away from Proverbs 31 because I didn't fit the mold. I was discouraged looking at her and going, gosh, I suck. I'm nothing like her. And so I was doing the same thing to my husband when this guy is describing a man of God who, my husband is that man, and he is stepping into that. We all are in different situations. So we're in process. I bring up also 2 Corinthians 3:18. We all with unveiled face are going from glory to glory, becoming more like the image of Christ. And so we're all in process. And so I am saying this, whether you're talking about your spouse or whether you're talking about yourself, don't be discouraged because you think it's supposed to look this way right now. Because you know what? God is not done with us, but he says he's the author and the finisher of our faith. And what he starts, he will perfect and he will complete. And so, so that's the one story that I wanted to share with you. is don't sell yourself short, and don't put God in a box that says, oh, it's supposed to look like this, and because I don't look like this, I'm failing. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is this, and this goes along with the whole thing of the how it's supposed to look. So I came across today one of my friends' posts, and it was about the woman of virtue. And I was, reaffirmed that that I'm on the right track, that God has given me Lady Bellator for a reason. If you don't know, Lady Bellator is the brand. She is, if you look at my Unsidelined Life logo, you'll see a woman. When she's strong, she has a scepter in the front. And so if you're looking at the actual Lady Bellator logo, she has a scepter in the front and a sword in the back. If you're looking at the podcast, you'll see that it's just, if anything, it's actually more significant, where same thing, but the scepter in the front has the voice waves, right? Meaning that I have a voice, a podcast, but meaning also you. In that scepter, you have a voice. So lady, meaning authority, royalty, we are co-heirs with Christ. And then the sword in the back represents the Bellator. Bellator means warrior. And so God gave that to me, over 2 years ago. And he's continuing to show me what she looks like, show me what I look like. And through this podcast, through my books, through different things, he wants to help you and show you who you are. And so again, I came across this thing about virtue. And when we think of virtue, this I actually looked I looked up what the definition of virtue is. And virtue as we know it, if I was to not look at the dictionary yet, virtue seems like someone of, just having good morals. You think about a woman of virtue, she's, just kind of quiet and proper, and just something about her that is, temperance is, she's subdued. So there's something about her. So she's got good morals. So there's nothing bad about this definition. But what was reaffirmed is the definition of what the Bible means by the woman of virtue. And this is Proverbs 31. So, and I'll just read what I saw. It says, for generations, Christians have pictured the virtuous woman as a gentle, quiet, modest, and well-behaved person. Are those things bad? No. But the Old Testament word is chayil. It doesn't mean nice, soft, or polite. It means this. It means strength. It means power. It means valor. It means warrior. And she's a part of, or this person of virtue is a part of an army. So that, I believe, describes a Lady Bellator. And so when I saw that again, and I've heard it before, someone was asking me, Eileen, do you actually know what the meaning, the biblical meaning of virtue is? When I heard that, and so this was just now, so I heard it, but now I'm seeing it, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. God is so cool. Man, we have a bigger role than we understand. And it is not for us to just go, oh, I'm better than what I think. And oh, good, I don't have to feel like I'm less than. No, I'm calling you out to start stepping into that place, because you are needed. You are needed. Your family needs you. Your husband needs you. Your kids need you. Your target audience, your like someone who's gone through what you've gone through, they need you. You're needed. And so I know this much. When I was going through my stuff and I was told, you are only meant to cook and clean and have babies. You are not created in the image of God. You should be a clone of the man. You are less than a man. You know what? When I heard that over and over, when I was sidetracked to find out the truth, but two, I stopped showing up like how I was supposed to. And it took God changing my mind and showing me who I am in him. And he showed me the role that I had to play. And he showed me, Eileen, I'm calling you out to be the warrior. Oh, to be the woman of valor. Not only for your kids, but for yourself and for these women. And it was no longer about me, focusing on me and woe is me, or, oh my gosh, like, what's the truth? God was saying, I'm calling you up to who I've seen you to be, who I know you to be, and who is going to raise up other women. So when he did that, it just gave me a completely different perspective, that it wasn't just about me and my situation. And he used other people, which I want to be for you. And I pray that God continues to show you. He used other people to tell me who I was, even when I didn't believe it yet. I've shared this story before, where on more than one occasion, actually, there was a situation where, and it has to do with this, I met with a lady who didn't know me well, but she felt led to pray for me. She felt led to talk to me, to encourage me. Met a couple times, and we're at lunch, and she's saying, Eileen, and she's actually like, as she's hearing God, right? Like he's like whispering in her ear. She's like this, okay. And she says, Eileen, God wants you to know that he's very proud of you. And you are strong. And she was like just saying these things to me. And then she says, you know what? She goes, gosh, I wish I could give like a picture of how God sees you. And she starts scrolling through her phone. And she points out this picture. And I've seen it more than once now, but it was a woman in armor. You know, she was a woman of valor. Gosh, it's like I forget which movie, but you've seen just a woman in the armor and with the shield and with a helmet, and she's ready for battle. And so she said, Eileen, she's actually, when she's scrolling, she found this picture. She goes, oh, this is how God sees you. And so I just took a copy of that picture. The next day I go with another friend of mine, who says, hey, there's this girl who wants to talk to you. And I was at the stage of, this was in the most crucial time, that season, where I had to leave. I had to have an escape plan. It was hard. It was, just a lot going on, to where God knew what I needed. So I go to this other woman's house. So she's a friend of my friend. And we're actually starting counseling. And she told me, she said, I didn't want to know anything about you before we met. She goes, I've just been praying for you. And she said, you know what? She's like, this is weird. As I was asking God for a word for you, she's like, she said, it's kind of a weird word. And she just said it. And she said valor. And because in her mindset, she was thinking, when you think of valor, you think of a man, you think of a military man. And so when she said, God kept saying that you're a woman of valor. And I broke down, cried, and started crying. And then I was able to tell her, who she didn't know that other woman at all, I was able to show her a picture of this woman. And that's exactly what it was. It was a woman of valor. All the things that I described, a woman of strength, a woman prepared for battle, a woman who's strong, powerful. Those were the things that describes the woman of virtue. And so God, in his goodness, was preparing me and showing me, Eileen, this is who I have called you to be. You are those things, even if you don't believe it yet. I'm helping you. I'm going to use people. I'm going to use the situations. You're going to see that you are this woman of valor. And now I believe it. I declare it. No matter what doubts come my way, I know it. And I know it. And I need to lean into it, because I look around, women, we need to step it up and be this. There's no longer time to be woe is me or all these things are going on. As I started coaching, I'm seeing this. There are so many women who have drive, who have determination, who the devil is trying to silence. So as I'm working with these women, it's like, man, to be able to identify how the devil tries to come in and lie to them, whether discouraging them, whether just overloading them, whether having them feel like they want to quit or they're not equipped, whatever the case, the fact that we can identify these areas where the devil is trying to bring us down, and then we can lean on a truth and start walking in the truth. Man, it's like these women, they're being strengthened. They're not believing the lies anymore. So that's where I want to challenge you as we come to a close in this season. I want you to know that you are a woman of virtue and that God has a calling for you. And that as you come into this new year, I want you to start thinking about these things. Start thinking about what the devil has been telling you, what lies you're believing. And here, just, I want you to do this. Change your mindset. I'll say it first. Change your mindset. Go to the source. Who does God say you are? And those are the things that I want to challenge you as we come to the new year. 1, challenge your mindset. This is going to take time for you to think about where your beliefs come from. Your beliefs may come from your upbringing. It may come from your church. It may come from your skewed, or, because I've had it too, where there may be some truths in the Bible that need to be clarified or need to be better understood. It could be that it comes from a life commandment, and I've talked about that before, where something happened in your life, whether in word or in a circumstance or a situation, where you've come to a conclusion, this is how it's supposed to be. So I want you to challenge your mindset. Where does your picture of a woman, what does she look like? And so when I say challenge your mindset, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about what the world says that a woman should look like. You've got so many things out there that are ever changing. They're depending on circumstances. And so, gosh, when I think about a mindset and when I think about what a woman's supposed to look like, I can take, in my own situation, I can take that a woman in the pro athlete world, because that was a lot of chunk of my time as a wife, is supposed to have it all together. She's supposed to look all nice. She's supposed to have this bling. She's supposed to have this fame and fortune. She's supposed to have the designer bags, all these things. It's a lot of supposed to in that world. She's supposed to have it all together all the time, right? There's that. When I come in, I came into this other situation, she's supposed to wear a head cover. She's supposed to be obedient to her husband. She's supposed to cook, clean, have babies, and nothing else. She's supposed to be okay with another wife. She's supposed to not wear makeup, because if you wear makeup, you're a Jezebel. There's so many supposed tos. If you look at the world says you're supposed to look like this. Whether it's a Kim Kardashian or a working woman, a businesswoman, you're supposed to do all these things. There's a lot of supposed tos and a lot of like, it should look like this. But what does God say? And so the first one is challenge your mindset, right? So look around, ask yourself, where do I get my definition of what a good woman looks like, or a virtuous woman, or an ideal woman? Let's put it this way, because some people may not think a virtuous woman is ideal. So what is your picture of the ideal woman? What does she look like? What does she believe? What do people say about her? And I want you to challenge that. And then secondly, I want you to go to the source. God has an identity for you that's different than the world. God's identity of you and what he says about you is not changing. He talks about, not only in Proverbs 31, but he talks about the woman, how she should be, how she should carry herself, what her role is, how she is to love her husband and love her kids, how she's supposed to take care of her home, how she's supposed to be modest. She's not supposed to be focused on the outside things. She's a woman of character, of a gentle, quiet spirit, which is precious in the sight of God. And so God talks about how a woman should look. And so that is super important to know, okay, what in the Bible, what does God say about me? And so again, this whole mindset thing, one example is the fact that when I thought of a virtuous woman, I thought she's supposed to, just be a certain way, quiet, subdued, well-behaved, all those things. And, so many people can perceive that differently. Well, then again, as we look at what does the Bible say about that, and the fact that chayil, I don't know if I'm saying it right, that it means strong, it means warrior, like strength, power, military. That's the true identity of her, of the woman of virtue. And so those are things I want you to challenge. Okay. So number one, challenge your mindset. Number two, go to the source. And number three, and that's how I'll end it here. We're not done. So these are questions as we go into the new year. But of course, I've got a whole, like I said, at least 6 months of podcasts. So number three is this. Who does God say you are specifically? There was a season where there was a time a couple years ago where I was listening to something. It was Dan McCollum, and it was in his book, Fight the Good Fight. And it was talking about the prophetic. And one question that he talked about was, it came from this passage. He says that there was a time where Jesus was with his disciples, and Jesus says, "Who do they say I am?" Right? And so he's asking the disciples, "Hey, what are they saying about me?" And then he says, "Who do you say that I am?" And so, I think Peter says, "You're the Christ, you're the Son of the living God," right? And so there is us knowing who God is. But the way that Dan McCollum said, or the question that he posed to us was, who does God say you are? And so, as I was, of course, thinking about that and reflecting on that, one thing that they had for us to do is, he says, "You know what? I want you to look up your name." And he was describing it, he was describing us as Christians, but he said, you specifically, what is your name? What does your name mean? And so the assignment was for the students to look up their name. So my name is Eileen. I could honestly, I didn't care for my name. I think nowadays the names are so unique, but then they become so unique and so cool, and then they end up being common. So Eileen was the name I was given, and really it had to do with some sort of singer. I asked my dad, "What's my name mean?" And he's like, "Oh, it's some Irish singer, Helen Eileen, Irish descent." But as I was searching out this name, I saw that it meant radiant, it meant light, it meant torch, it meant a brightening. And now all of a sudden I was seeing my name in a whole different light. I was like, wow. And it was intriguing to me, and it was insightful to me, and it was so profound, because during that time, before and after I was seeking out the definition of my name, there were certain people that would say, "Eileen, you're a light." There was a guy who would go, "Gosh, you're so bright, you're radiant. I need to put my sunglasses on." And I was seeing how God was reminding me and reassuring me, this is who I've called you to be. You're supposed to be a light. You're like a torch that is going to lead people. And so when I started seeking and seeing, oh my gosh, my name means this. This is how God sees me. So not only am I royalty. Not only am I a warrior, not only am I a woman of virtue and all these things that the Bible says, but I am specifically a person with purpose. And I'm specifically Eileen, who he says, this is your purpose. This is what I'm calling you to. And so he's doing the same for you. And so I encourage you, as you come to this new year, again, challenge your mindset, go to the source, and take opportunity, I hope, as you are hopefully slowing down as we come to this new year. Do that. Search out your name. Find out the meaning. Ask God, what does my name mean? What are you calling me to? And I didn't know that I had a meaning to my name. And the cool thing is this, and I'll encourage you, again, I'll leave you with this for sure, is knowing, I knew about names, right? I knew that, if you look in the Bible, there's meanings to names. And so we intentionally named our kids with meaning. And so I've got, there's all my kids' names have so it's a hyphenated first name. So there's a first name hyphen and a second name. And so we started out with Arabic names, and still there's meaning there. I don't want to totally butcher it, but I believe that my oldest son, his name means guide to the right path. The second one means praise. And so each one, so it's like the first one was completely Arabic because his grandfather, tradition is his grandfather named him completely. We didn't even name him. The grandparents named him. The second one is Muhammad Ali. So that was a name that we knew we wanted. And so I believe that means praise. The third one is friend of God. So I don't want to say all my kids' names, but there's the hyphenated names where we were picking the names. And so the first one became an Arabic name. So we stick with the Arabic part of a name. And the second name was, as the kids went down the line, they're more biblical. And so I'll say this one. So Anis Jedediah is our third one. So we wanted to call a kid Jedi with the intention, we're like, oh yeah, we're going to call him, so Jedediah, but we're going to call him Jedi because the whole Star Wars thing, right? And so I will say this, that whenever I gave birth, we never found out the sex. And so there was like a girl's name and a guy's name. And so my girls' names, they would just pile up, right? Because we never used them. So with number 3, I remember having this Arabic book, and I'm going, okay, if it's a boy, we're gonna name it Jedediah, but what's the first part of the name? And I remember looking through this book as I'm about to have this baby, and so I'm looking, and I come across Anis, and Anis meant loved of God or friend of God in Arabic. And so as soon as I saw that, knowing that Jedediah meant friend of God or beloved of God, I was like, this one's going to be a boy. So that's how that came up. So Anis Jedediah. So I'm saying that to say that we were intentional about giving them names that we wanted them to live out. And so you got Abdul Rashid, let's just say their names, Abdul Rashid, Muhammad Ali, Anis Jedediah, Khalid Judah, Muhammad Kabir. So this, the number 5 is the, he took his dad's name, or we gave him his dad's name. Shakir Emmanuel, Ariana Sophia, virtue is actually in those names. And then Amal Joseph. And so I won't go into what all their names mean, but I will say this, is that in naming them, of course, prayerfully asking God and then naming them, they are living out their names. And so check your name, search your name, ask God who you are, and he'll show you. So a lot of your name has to do with that. And so I'll end with that. So as you come into the new year, I want you to be prepared to challenge your mindset, go to the source, and find out who you are. And so we'll continue this. We'll continue with Proverbs 31. I hope you have had a Merry Christmas, great holidays, and that you have a great start to a new year. Look, I am doing that. I've told you before, but please, if you're hearing this and if God is pricking you, get a hold of me, hello@ladybellator.com. If you're seeking that that you want to do something, that you want to have a makeover in spirit, soul, and body, get a hold of me. I have tons of awesome things that I am planning for the new year, whether it's individually, a one-on-one or more group situation, a retreat coming up. I have tons of things in store for us to step up into the Lady Bellator, the Proverbs 31 woman that God is calling us to be. And so, I gotta go. I will talk to you guys later, and Happy New Year again. Bye. Until next time, love well, celebrate your strength, and discover the new things you are capable of. You are a light in the lives of those around you, and no night is too dark for you to find your way.